I'm Shana. Welcome to our talk show, Chief Women Arise. Today, I want to talk about gun violence in America. One thing that I want to talk about for is a lot of the hot topics. Hot topics. One thing I strongly feel is that the world is talking about a lot of things. And guess what? The people in the church are talking about the same things. However, the people in the church really don't talk about the same things in the church or what's going on in the world. And I just feel it's really important that we have a voice, the believers, about what's happening in the world. And so today I want to talk about gun violence in America. As you guys know, now in America, it seems like mass shootings is becoming a weekly event. Before it used to be maybe every now and then, or maybe every few months, but it's progressing. And usually we have to, we're watching the news and there's going to be another shooting. And sometimes multiple in one day. Sometimes in this area of the country it happens, and then over here it happens. That happened recently in California. There was, I believe it was shooting and stabbing, and but it's becoming very, very normal in America for us to have these mass shootings. And I'm just talking about mass shootings. Now we've been having, there's all type of violence happening every single day in every city in the United States of America. Just one-on-one or a couple people. Recently, we just had a murder here in Florida, and now we're seeing the young people. So recently, it was a young person that made national news in a community right here in Jackson, well, not far from Jacksonville. A young man, 15 years old, took the life of another young lady, and it devastated the community because it was senseless. It was a senseless crime. And then just last week, it's so much happening just in this area. It's almost hard to keep up with everything that's going on, but not far from here, I think it was Ocala County. Some young people were in a car, and 3 young men killed 2 young ladies in a heinous way. And the youngest of the men was 12. And it's sparking national, and this is national media, like things that's happening right in our state are making national news. And then maybe the same week that happened, there was a man, I want to say the Tampa area, somewhere over there, who ended up killing the mother of his child and killing the child. And the child was found in the alligator's mouth. Like, unbelievable, unbelievable. This is, and I'm talking about things that are in our area. I'm just talking about Florida. And then if it's not a mass shooting, it's a scare at a school. So just here in Jacksonville, it's the police had to get called at this school because of a bomb threat, or a student brought a gun to school today. And it's a weekly occurrence. And so, you know, it's almost like our culture in America is accepting this and becoming numb to it. But what's alarming is that it's progressing. It's not slowing down, but it's progressing, and it's affecting our old and young. So recently, what was just, and I haven't watched the news today, but this week, a young man decided to go in his workplace at the bank, I believe it was Kentucky or Tennessee, one of those states, and shoot up his coworkers. So again, and that's this week. You know, here in Jacksonville, you cannot watch the news every week without somebody getting shot or killed right here in our city. So, and so many people over the years have said, we got to do something about this. So this is a hot topic in our country. So not only is this a hot topic, so is gun legislation. And your rights to have a gun. And a lot of people say, well, guns don't kill people, people kill people. And we know that's true, right? And then there's a lot of people who are really fighting. And I think some things are about to come to a head because they're fighting about, we need to do something about gun control, which I believe nobody should have. You should not need an AR-57, right? That's a military weapon. You know, I can understand hunting and stuff. So, but what does a regular citizen need with an automatic weapon?
Right.
I mean, and I think if you're a hunter, then maybe you need to work on your hunting skills. Because if you need an AR to kill a deer, then you might need some practice.
That's not hunting.
Right, that's overkill, right? And so, and I understand both parts. I am a gun owner myself, and I understand, I'm a responsible gun owner. I'm a registered gun owner, right? I took classes, and I have a gun. Now, I didn't want to get one, but my husband said we should get one, so we have a gun. So I understand protecting the rights of gun owners and having the right to bear arms, because that is part of our Constitution. But I do understand when we have to see people every single day on the news crying and doing all of these things because of mass shootings, it's getting ridiculous. And something does have to be done about that. Yeah, we have gun owning rights. Yeah, but come on, people who own guns, like, come on, you know that this is a problem. And you can't be so bent on an issue that you disregard human life. You can disregard. So I'm about to open up the discussion about it, but just a few points I want to make because of talking about this hot topic is for we as the believers. And this can pertain to non-believers. Stop waiting on everybody else to do something. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? If you see something, say something. We just talked about that in a segment. If you see something, say something. And I like this one. If you feel something, pray something. If you feel, and the reason, and I want to go back to the recent shooting on this week, the most recent one. This guy went to his job and killed his fellow coworkers. And I feel like this. There had to be signs before this. Sometimes you can feel things in the spirit at the workplace or in the school shootings. There's you kids, you know, if somebody's getting bullied and you know it's not right, you just walk by, you know. We have to start looking for everybody else to do something and decide, what am I going to do? There's been plenty of times, Sharon, that I have been in the workplace and I felt something with one of my coworkers, and I went to praying, like, and to the point of it could have been a situation where I could have seen them coming in here shooting because of the way their demeanor was. So have you guys, what do you guys think about this topic? And how would you handle, or how do you, what are your views on the shootings, the violence, and what are you going to do about it?
First thing that comes to mind for me, Shana, is that our society is desensitized. You know, the value of life has become less than.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons we could go into if we have time, but I think that's the number one key is that, you know, we just go ahead and selfishly, to make ourselves feel better, attack a person next to us. And I think that is just showing that we don't value other people's lives.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the first thing. I like what you brought up about the feelings that you have when you're in a situation. You can sense it. And I think, again, believer or non-believer, I think you can sense that there's something wrong in the room, something wrong with that person. And if we will react to that in a positive way, you know, go get help, let somebody know, you know, tell the authorities, we might can prevent some of these.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I personally do agree with the right to bear arms. I also see it from the perspective of a lot of this is evil when we think about, like you said, the way people moves are swinging, the way they have made up these ideologies in their head that make them come forth and act it out. But I also notice a trend in school shootings that 9 times out of 10, the kid or the person has told someone about it. and they just don't believe that they're going to do it. Like the case that you spoke about where the young man killed the girl here in Jacksonville. He had actually told several of his friends that he wanted to kill someone in the woods. In Parkland in Fort Lauderdale a couple of years ago, the shooting that happened on Valentine's Day, that kid, Nicholas Cruz, had told people on social media, they had video that they brought to the school board to try to remove him from the school. And they did everything and he still perpetrated that act. So it's way bigger than, just also see something, say something. We have to have laws in place. We have to have things in place that support people when they want to act to remove these kids and adults out of jobs, out of schools. And then I also do believe that when we're talking about guns, we have to talk about the realistic thing now that in cities like Chicago, where they have no way to purchase guns, that's one of the places that has a lot of murders. But we're seeing the influx of guns come through 3D printing. We see a lot of these kids, yes, they can 3D print the parts in their manufacturing the gun. So when we're talking about just gun legislation, it will work in some facet for responsible people. But when you're talking about people that already have a mindset to defy law, that's when we have to really come together as a community and think about strategies to help those people at an early stage. When you have kids in Chicago can go buy a little Glock clip to change a gun from a regular gun to automatic, and they can buy it from online or these black sites. We have to do a better job, I believe, in legislation, shutting down those sites, shutting down those opportunities, bringing those people who's selling those parts and that technology to the forefront so we can address these issues. Because it's not going to only be solved through legislation, because it's so much out there in the criminal world.
Right. And getting back to legislation, one thing that has disappointed me, we have Democrats and Republicans, and we know Republicans really fight for the right to bear arms, and more Democrats. But this is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a humanitarian issue that's happening here in America. And my prayer is that our elected officials will put down a lot of agendas and egos and come together to help this problem. It's not about your agenda or my agenda. It's about lives. And it doesn't matter. It's affecting every facet. It used to be just the inner city problem. It's not. It's a country problem. So.
Yeah, gosh, I could say so many things on this, but a couple of things that come to mind. One is that, for example, when I bought my house, I wanted to make sure that it didn't have a swimming pool. Because my son can't swim, I wasn't going to subject him to something like that where he couldn't swim and we could drown.
Right.
Well, the same thing with a gun. And my mom wanted to buy a gun, and she lives with us. And I said, tell my son that you have it. Right? Because we have to make sure that we're protecting our children.
Right.
We should have them if we don't have it protected. Right? If we don't have it locked up, and make sure that our children can't get to that gun, because our children do not have the mindset to be able to responsibly take care of that gun.
Right.
I mean, unless they have been grown up on a farm or something like that, been hunting all their lives, that's a little different situation, right? But we're talking about just everyday normal people. They should be very, very careful about what we allow in our homes.
Right, absolutely. But it gets back to what we talked about in another segment, what educating our children, even with gun safety. Because like I have a friend, her and her husband were both military. And I went to their house and they just had guns laying out around the house. I was like, y'all got kids here. They were like, oh, we're not worried about that because we have taught them. They know. And I was like, that's very responsible. It was very foreign to me. But again, education is key. But we have to respond. And we can make a difference. Even if we could just stop one from having, we can't stop everything. These things are going to happen. But if we could prevent something by saying something, by praying something, we can stop. We can stop a lot of this stuff just in our circle of influence.
And Shana, I'm going to go there.
Go there.
I think video games have contributed.
Absolutely.
tremendously
Absolutely.
to our children
Yeah.
because they're so impressionable at an early age.
Mhm.
And when they spend time, shooting and they see the blood and guts and everything that video games have nowadays, it desensitizes them. And so what's the difference? They can't make the disconnect or the difference between reality and a
Right,
video game.
right,
And so we are subjecting them to make decisions that they're not capable of.
right.
Call of Duty, like,
Yeah.
you know,
And the music and the TV
Absolutely.
and the movies, you know, the
Yeah.
biggest sellers are the ones with the most violence in America. And I believe we have come to this point as we're wrapping up. We have come to this point as a society. We have in this country have glorified violence. Now, the same thing that we have glorified is at our front door.
that's right.
It's at our front door. So again, what are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do about it? You know, and again, we can pray, we can say something, we can vote. We can talk to our congressmen and to our senators and to the ones that's making these decisions and just make our voice heard because it's affecting everybody. I don't care what color you are, what party line you're on, it's affecting everybody. So again, we're wrapping up this segment. I am Shana Wise and thank you for joining us on Chief Women Arise Talk.